St. Louis Wrestling. From St. Louis, Missouri, the magic city of wrestling. Action from Wrestling at the Chase and all the superstars of St. Louis.
January 1st, 1982, it was a night for a record-shattering sellout crowd of 19,819 at the Checker Dome. It was a night when Ric Flair kept the World Heavyweight Championship by beating Dusty Rhodes. It was a night when Dick the Bruiser became the new Missouri State King by topping Ken Patera. It was a night when the feud between David Von Erich and Harley Race exploded anew. It was a night when Pat O'Connor hung up his tights after knocking off Bob Sweetan. But most of all, it was a night to honor retiring promoter Sam Muchnick.
I direct your attention to the south end of the Checker Dome, because coming down that aisle in a second will be the man we all want to thank tonight, the one and only promoter Sam Muchnick.
We'll be back with more of the salute to Sam Muchnick in a moment.
Sam Muchnick retired from promotion on January 1st, 1982, and the wrestling business was never really the same. Volume 10 of Classic St. Louis Wrestling is dedicated to this historic moment. Hello, I'm Larry Matisick. Sam Muchnick was my mentor from the time I was 16 years old, so I had a first-hand look at the incredible impact this man had on the wrestling business. In 1948, he formed the National Wrestling Alliance, and it provided the structure for wrestling for over 30 years. When Sam retired, the foundation of wrestling began to crumble. Going back to 1981, though, the World Heavyweight Championship had become a hot potato. Obviously, the World Heavyweight title would have to be defended on Sam's farewell card. How to explain what was happening? Well, let's go back to November 29th, 1981, and Wrestling at the Chase.
The World Heavyweight Championship has changed hands a few times during 1981. Remember, back in April, Tommy Rich upset Harley Race, but then less than 1 week later, Race rebounded and took the crown away from Tommy Rich. Now, let's review how the World Heavyweight title passed from Harley Race to Dusty Rhodes to Ric Flair. June 21st, 1981, the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia, Harley Race removes the gold belt symbolic of the World Heavyweight title prior to his match against the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Rhodes wants that gold belt again. He had it once before, less than a week, following a victory over Race, and then he lost it back to Race. And now 20 minutes into the grueling battle, Rhodes has the advantage on Race. He's driven Race backward with punches, but Race can never be counted out. He scores with a headbutt that drops the colorful American Dream. Race pushes Rhodes down, lines up the knee, and drives it into the head of Dusty Rhodes. Race feeling a little more confident now. He knows Rhodes has been shaken. He goes outside the ring, begins to mount the ropes to try to score with an atomic drop. But Dusty Rhodes is just as tough as Harley Race, just as tough as any man who's ever stepped inside that ring. He pitches Race off the top rope and crashes him into the middle of the ring, then zeroes in with an elbow drop squarely onto the forehead of Race. Race, groggy now. He's covered by Dusty Rhodes. At the count of 2, Race manages to throw off Rhodes and save the gold belt. At least save it for the time being. Rhodes measuring Race, coming to his feet, reaching for Race's head, but Race drives that head into the midsection of Dusty Rhodes. And then Harley Race scores with a forearm smash to the neck of Rhodes. Race pulls Rhodes forward, hooks the head, going for the suplex, but Rhodes blocks it. Rhodes blocks Harley Race's favorite weapon, the suplex, and then Rhodes lifts Race and scores with a suplex of his own. Dusty Rhodes comes down with an elbow, but Race, calling on that instinct, calling on that toughness, calling on that positive refusal to ever break, rolled away. Race goes for the diving headbutt, but Rhodes alertly rolls out of the way, and it's Race whose head is slammed into the mat. Rhodes outside the ring. Race spots him there. Harley Race going out of the ring after Dusty Rhodes. Out into the aisle. It's Harley Race and Dusty Rhodes battling toe-to-toe, slugging it out on the floor of the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. Race gouges the eyes of Rhodes and then grabs Rhodes' head and slams it into the press table. Race trying to crawl back in and beat the count, but Rhodes stops him, grabbing the leg. The referee telling Rhodes to release Race. Rhodes, realizing that he could be counted out of the ring, goes up onto the apron. Race, not knowing where Rhodes is right now. He's lost track of where Dusty Rhodes is. He doesn't see Rhodes high up in the air. 265 pounds, flies through the air, catches Race with a flying cross-body block, and a new world champion is crowned June 21st in Atlanta. Dusty Rhodes has the gold belt for the second time, and Harley Race, a stunned loser, dethroned as the kingpin. The crown, at this point, belonging to Dusty Rhodes. But now, let's move ahead to September the 17th, 1981, Memorial Hall in Kansas City, and Nature Boy Ric Flair is the challenger for Dusty Rhodes. Rhodes, at this point, is already signed for a match against Harley Race. He beat Ric Flair in St. Louis in August. A good, clean victory right in the middle of the ring. But Rhodes' mind now probably a little bit more on Harley Race than it is on Ric Flair as Rhodes removes the gold belt. Ric Flair waiting as Lou Thesz displays that gold belt all around the ring. And let's move ahead a little bit. It's about 25 minutes into the match when Rhodes throws a knee at Flair. Flair sidesteps, and Rhodes, who'd been caught earlier in the match in the figure four leg lock, is once again trapped in the same figure four leg lock by Nature Boy Ric Flair. Flair came into wrestling like a rocket. He shot right to the top, and Dusty Rhodes knows that certainly Ric Flair is a top contender, but as Rhodes would be the first to say at this point, at this date, at this point in time, his mind was probably more on Harley Race than it was on Ric Flair. But that's no excuse, because every time a champion steps inside the ring, he knows he can lose that gold belt. He knows the pressure is on. He knows what is at stake. And right here, Dusty Rhodes knows that he has to hang on. He has to endure as Ric Flair tries to rip the tendons and the ligaments in the knee of Dusty Rhodes with the figure four leg lock. Rhodes trying to turn it over. Maybe he can reverse the figure four on Flair. Maybe he can get over to the ropes. The title is at stake, the biggest prize in wrestling, hanging in the balance as Flair grinds away with that figure four leg lock. Thesz checks the shoulders of Rhodes. Rhodes manages to get up before the count of two, but his knees are taking tremendous pressure right now. Rhodes again trying to reverse it, trying to roll over with the figure four leg lock, hoping to get to the ropes at the very least. Rhodes using all the power in his legs, and think of the strain right now that he's putting in his own knees. Rhodes ends up underneath the ropes. The referee tells Flair to break up the figure four, and Thesz has to pry the legs apart, has to literally pull Flair outside of the figure four leg lock. Flair going outside the ring. He sees that Rhodes is dazed, having trouble getting his feet. He tries to dive bomb Rhodes. Rhodes sees him on the top rope, nails Flair with a punch to the stomach. Rhodes underneath Flair, if he can deliver a suplex from that angle. But look out, the knees give way. The knees give way. And Rhodes falls beneath Ric Flair, and Flair covers Rhodes. Ric Flair has captured the World Heavyweight title. That was September the 17th in Kansas City. And that gold belt is still with Nature Boy Ric Flair, despite the fact that Dusty Rhodes is hot on his trail along with Harley Race, Jack Briscoe, Ken Patera, Kerry Von Erich, David Von Erich, and so many others. But now the gold belt belongs to none other than flamboyant Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Flair and Rhodes were signed for the main event on January 1st, 1982, with the World Heavyweight Championship at stake and Gene Kiniski, the special referee. Were Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair ready for this monumental event? Judge for yourself.
The second main event, a one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing from Nashville, Tennessee, weighing 230 pounds, Roy Rogers. From Minneapolis, Minnesota, weighing 243 pounds, the World Heavyweight Champion, Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Well, we said we had a surprise for you, and needless to say, it is the appearance of the World Heavyweight Champion, Ric Flair. Flair yelling. He wants to know who's going to handle his robe. He wants to make sure it's somebody he can trust. And of course, you know most of Flair's robes cost in excess of $5,000 a piece. And I don't even want to think about how much that gold belt costs, because that has some value.
Women off me long enough, I'm going to get in and show you how I checked it really well.
I think you could hear what Flair said, but just in case our sound man, Charlie McDaniel, didn't quite catch it, he says, if you can keep these women off me, I'll get in there and show you how a champion really looks. I got to tell you, he had a lot of cheers from the ladies here in the audience. He is not without his fans, and neither is Dusty Rhodes. Roy Rogers, a newcomer to wrestling at the Chase, is yanked into the corner by the World Heavyweight Champion in a clean break from the Nature Boy. He struts back. Flair. How do you describe him in one word? Daredevil, reckless, gambler, flamboyant, gaudy, exciting, always. He is all of those things. Flair with a hammerlock on Roy Rogers, yanking the arm up behind Rogers' back. The world champion tries to get the shoulders of Rogers down. Rogers tries to bridge, get the shoulder up, manages to roll out, goes behind Ric Flair. Not for long. Oh! Does he have his basics down cold instinctively? Did you see that move by Flair? And he cradles Rogers. The referee trying to get in to check the shoulders. Flair had that cradle on so tightly that actually kept the referee from getting in there to check the shoulders. And Flair is not happy about it. He said, when his shoulders are down, you should be counting. The Nature Boy struts around that ring, and his crowd starts screaming. Think they'll be screaming when Dusty Rhodes comes down that aisle? The man who was so proud of that gold belt said he wanted for the people, a plumber's son from Texas. He says, I grew up in dusty, dirty gas station. And there was Ric Flair driving his Cadillacs with his own personal weightlifting equipment, going to Colorado to ski in the winter when he's only a teenager, going to Florida in the summer to spend time on the beaches. Couldn't be a bigger contrast between two opponents when you compare Flair to Dusty Rhodes. And Rhodes can handle the tough stuff. He came up the hard way. He can take the knocks. He's proven it twice. He defeated Harley Race for the gold belt, and Race is tied with Lou Thez for the most times winning wrestling's biggest prize. 6 different times Race was the World Heavyweight Champion. That gold belt has history that goes back to 1905. You're talking of people like Strangler Lewis wore that belt, or the predecessor to it. People like Lou Thez, like Wild Bill Longson, like Gene Kaniski, who will be the special referee when Flair and Rhodes square off for all the marbles. Flair catches Rogers with a blast to the side. Flair with an elbow smash to the head of Rogers, knocking him to the ropes. Flair batters Rogers head first into the top turnbuckle. Flair lifts Rogers. Backbreaker by the world champion. Flair retreating across the ring, lining up the head. Yes, the knee across the forehead of Roy Rogers. Flair covers Rogers, cradles the leg. Rogers throws Flair off. Flair hurls Rogers into the corner. Talk about strength, boy. He almost took his arm right out of the socket. He threw him into that corner. Flair has plenty of power of his own, and then he clamps the head, and look where the forearms are, right across the cheekbones. That hurts worse than a regular headlock, and no wonder Rogers is squirming and ending up in the ropes. Flair pulls Rogers off the ropes and throws him through the ropes and right out into the front row practically. A hard spill to the cement floor. Compliments of the Nature Boy who struts around that ring. How long can he keep up that pace he's at? Night after night, the gold belt on the line, living as fast and hard as he does. Ric Flair doesn't seem to be any the worse for wear. He yells at the referee. He's just battering the young Roy Rogers around. Rogers in there with a man who is simply at the peak of his game. Look at Ric Flair batter Roy Rogers, the world champion. Oh, that Flair, just a mile-a-minute pace. Never stops, just keeps going. Rogers is being battered by Ric Flair. Rogers on the apron, pulled into the ring by the world champion. Flair whips Rogers to the ropes, catches him with an elbow to the chin.
5 minutes have elapsed, 5 minutes left.
The world champion grabs Rogers to the side, saddle, suplex. Flair covers Rogers. Rogers manages to get his shoulder up, and don't ask me how, because he has taken a pounding from the world champion. Flair takes a shot to the stomach, and maybe youth and stamina are going to pay off for Rogers. He landed a couple of blows, but Flair hangs in there. Knee lift to the head. Ric Flair, he played football, wrestled at the University of Minnesota. He's got a tremendous athletic background. Flair caught in a jackknife and cradle. Hey, the champion's shoulders are down, but only for a count of 1. Flair quickly back up on top. He grabs Rogers, has him in the air, setting him up. Oh, pile driver. The pile driver by the world champion Ric Flair. Rogers' foot is on the bottom rope. There'll be no count of 3 here. And maybe it's a good thing for Rogers he landed where he did. Rogers gasping. His eyes are glassy. I don't think he knows he's in the ring, but he certainly knows he's in there with a tornado. A gaudy, colorful, charismatic tornado named Ric Flair. The world champion pounding with those forearms, and I mean to tell you, he drives them home, just bangs them in there. Rogers pulled clear across the ring by Flair. He lifts Rogers to the air. Atomic knee drop, jamming the tailbone down into the knee.
Now you know he's wrestling the world champion.
Now he knows he's wrestling the world champion. So says Ric Flair. And I have to admit, I am impressed by Flair today so far. Flair has Rogers in the air, suplex by Flair. Rogers is done. Flair still not satisfied. Flair still not satisfied. Elbow drop. Nature Boy Ric Flair is dishing it out. He's going for the figure 4. The figure 4 leg lock. The figure 4, the one that rips ligaments apart. And Roy Rogers submits quickly. Ric Flair has just destroyed Roy Rogers. Flair absolutely made mincemeat out of Rogers, a good young wrestler. But the world champion wanted to let everybody know he has what it takes to wear the gold belt. Here's Mickey.
In 6 minutes and 58 seconds with the figure 4, the winner, the world's heavyweight champion, Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Some people in wrestling say that the world champion Ric Flair may burn out. He lives so hard and so fast and wrestles with such a reckless style. But Rick, you certainly look sharp today.
I'll tell you what they say more about Ric Flair than anything else. I'll quote a few of the women in St. Louis, for instance. You hear them over there? You see, in the eyes of the women of St. Louis, I've been the champion for a long, long time, not just 3 months. As a matter of fact, in the eyes of the women all over this world, I have been the champion for a long, long time. You know, I even see, come here, you see, they got Dick the Bruiser's girlfriend here today. Put that camera on her right there. Huh? They even got the Bruiser's girlfriend here today, while the Nature Boy struts his stuff and looks better and more magnificent every day. Now, we're talking about Dusty Rhodes. And the only reason I took time out of my schedule to be here today is because Mushnick, another one of his upper-handed, lower-handed deals, has put me in a match with Dusty Rhodes, knowing damn well that I don't want anything to do with him. Why should I wrestle Dusty Rhodes?
Rick,
Did he wrestle me? Go
Rick,
ahead.
Dusty Rhodes says that you wouldn't even have the gold belt, if it hadn't been for the fact he was concentrating for a match with Harley Race, that you were lucky. He's saying you were lucky.
Is that right? Is that what they're saying in St. Louis now?
That's what some people are saying. That's what Rhodes is saying.
That the world champion is lucky? The greatest athlete, the most finely tuned wrestling machine of all time? Well, right here in St. Louis. Rhodes, it's you and I, brother. You and I for this. Now, you look at this long and hard, you people in St. Louis. This is 10 pounds of pure gold, the most prestigious trophy in all of professional wrestling. 10 pounds of pure gold. There are men that would go out and stand in front of a car running 60 miles an hour to say they wore this for one day, and it's mine because I beat Dusty Rhodes. It's mine because I can beat any man alive. And right here in St. Louis, I don't care if it's Sam Mushnick's retirement or not. Dusty Rhodes, you are going nowhere that I don't let you go. St. Louis, woo, it's going to be on fire. I'm going to bring my biggest limousine. I'm going to be as dressed as finely as any man can be dressed. And when I walk down that aisle, woo, you're going to know that you are looking at the greatest NWA World Heavyweight Champion of all time, Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, thank you, Rick. And we'll be back with more in a moment.
More than anything else in the world, Dusty Rhodes wants to be the World Heavyweight Champion, but Ric Flair stands in the way. Let's hear from the former World Champion and possibly future World Champion, Dusty.
You know, the possibilities in this country are unlimited for a kid growing up with no money, a kid growing up working in the dish, you know, for a living for a long time. Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, has rose to as high as you can get in doing anything you do. Whether you be a baseball player, a football player, whether you be a great promoter, and we're talking about one of the greatest of all time, Mr. Sam Mushnick. This is the big thing. This is the big night. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to him. It means a lot to the people of this country. Ric Flair, I hold a decisive victory over you right in the middle ring of St. Louis, Missouri. It was no fluke. It was no simple twist of fate that brought me the world's title. 2 times the only man to beat Harley Race. 2 times, Jackson. I mean, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. They call it the biggest match in the history of wrestling. They say because this is a kid that has everything. Ric Flair. His daddy give it all to him on a silver platter. His daddy from the word go said, Ric Flair, you can have anything you want, whether it be a big fine, fancy touring car, or whether it be a bank account when you're 12 years old. But Dusty Rhodes, it was hard times. And the way the country is nowadays, where we all got pulled together. The blacks, the whites, the green, red, purple, yellow, all the different peoples, races, creeds, and color got to pull together, and they behind one thing, and that's a hero. And Dusty Rhodes is a hero. I'm gonna make this night real special for Sam Mushnick. I'm gonna make it special for me, and I'm gonna make it special for my mama. You know, my daddy died when I just started in wrestling, and he loved it so much. He never got the opportunity to see the American dream fulfilled. From the biggest houses in Japan to the biggest arenas in New York City. From the smallest buildings in Florida to the biggest buildings in Florida. The name of Dusty Rhodes, the American dream, has never been equaled, has never been touched, has never been a professional wrestling machine like Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair. So you drive up in your limousine and you bring all you got, because, as I said to date, you haven't beat me, I've beat you. And it leaves no stone unturned for me to say this. I'm going to take that World Heavyweight title and I'm going to bring it to you, Mr. Mushnick, and we can get a new belt made, and you just keep that one with your many trophies, because this is the American Dream's night.
Another highlight for January 1st was a Missouri State Championship match between Ken Patera, the title holder, and Dick the Bruiser, the challenger. Was the Bruiser fired up? Well, let's take a look at December 20th and December 27th, 1981.
Introducing from Portland, Oregon, weighing 257 pounds, the Missouri State Champion, Ken Patera. From Stone Mountain, Georgia, weighing 480 pounds, Crusher Blackwell. From Kansas City, Missouri, weighing 250 pounds, Bruce Reed. From Indianapolis, Indiana, weighing 235 pounds, Spike Hubert. Referee, Eddie Smith, Lee Warren.
Well, you know what Spike Huber thinks of the Missouri State Champion. It's Huber and Bruce Reed against Crusher Blackwell and Ken Patera. Huber daring Patera to come out to the center of the ring and square off. Spike undoubtedly would like to get in some licks and maybe soften up Patera for Spike's father-in-law, because, you know, Dick the Bruiser would love nothing better than to have that Missouri State title belt around his waist, and maybe Spike Huber can make it a little bit easier for the Bruiser today.
Patera doesn't accept the challenge. It's Blackwell beginning against Huber, and Spike's not happy about that. He tags Reed. Spike Huber wants a piece of Patera. You remember what happened here on Wrestling at the Chase 2 weeks ago when Patera caught Huber outside the ring, threw him into the steel ring post, and then rammed him into the press table while applying a full Nelson. Patera yells over Huber, "How's it feel now, Spike?" You can see Patera gesturing, and Huber just about had enough. His temper a little the worse for wear. Crusher Blackwell with a side headlock on Reed. Reed trying to twist out. Look at the muscles bulge on Bruce Reed, the big biceps, and Patera yelled something at Blackwell, and then Blackwell yanked Reed back into the side headlock. Crusher Blackwell. 480 pounds. This man is awesome. And of course he has his work cut out too in an upcoming handicap tag match against Bruce Reed, on whom Blackwell has the side headlock, and Ox Baker. Baker coming in around 310 pounds. He'll be about 6 inches taller than Blackwell, and he's every bit as mean and willing to break the rules. Blackwell may well have bitten off more than he can chew in that handicap tag, because Bruce Reed has the speed and the muscle, and Baker certainly not afraid to fracture the rule book. He will do what it takes, and it may take a lot against Crusher Blackwell. Patera has his grip broken by Bruce Reed, and then Patera yanks Reed down. Tries to tie up the head, but referee Eddie Smith caught Patera. He wants the hold broken, and Reed comes up ready to throw some punches if that indeed becomes necessary. Here comes the Crusher. You think Bruce Reed can slam him? Arm drag! Oh! The crowd goes, "Oh my goodness, Crusher Blackwell with an arm drag." You just don't expect that out of someone who weighs 480 pounds. There's Huber and Patera in it again, yelling at one another. Blackwell's a lot more than his 480 pounds. He talked about that last weekend here on an interview, and he made some good points. He can do more than just run into people and fall them with 480 pounds. He can drop kick. He can use that weight, and there he is using the leg across the arm. A very solid wrestling move, but because there's 480 pounds behind it, it's that much more effective. Spike Huber is tagged in against Blackwell. Blackwell weighs twice as much as Huber. Blackwell daring Huber to test of strength. Spike very cautious. Patera creeping down the apron to get behind Huber, but now the body's turned. Oh, and Huber is kicked in the stomach by Crusher Blackwell. Headbutt from the man who says he has the hardest head in wrestling. We'll have to talk to Rufus R. Jones and Harley Race about that, because they're pretty good headbutts themselves. Blackwell flattens Huber. Oh. Huber, groggy, comes to his feet, is caught in a front face lock. Here comes Patera. What a team Patera and Blackwell can be. Huber fighting back. He sees it's Patera, and Huber's after Patera. Huber rips into Patera. Up and over the top goes the Missouri State champion. Huber nails Patera right squarely in the head. Patera knocked right out of the ring by Huber. Spike tries to go after him, and Eddie Smith, the referee, grabs a hold of Huber to keep him in the ring. Oh, Spike Huber boiling, and he is after Patera. As soon as Patera and Huber got in that ring, this crowd packed here into the KPLR TV studio just screamed, just exploded. How they'd love to see Huber rip Patera limb from limb. And you can imagine how they would feel about it when Dick the Bruiser gets in there with Patera and the chance to win the Missouri State title beckoning. And the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Nature Boy Ric Flair. The drop kick from Blackwell. Hey, Flair can do that too. It's even more amazing when you see somebody like Blackwell do it. Elbow drop from Blackwell. Imagine the excitement when Flair and Dusty Rhodes square off for the biggest prize in wrestling.
5 minutes have passed, 15 minutes left.
Huber is in trouble. Patera stomping on Spike. He hooks Spike, and there's the suplex from Ken Patera. Patera flexing. He is feeling cocky now. Blackwell hurt Huber, and Patera would like to hurt him some more. Huber throws Patera off. There's the bear hug by Patera on Spike Huber. You know, we mentioned that battle for the world title between the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and the champion, Ric Flair. Who better to referee it than Gene Kiniski? Still a top contender himself. Still a top contender himself. But Kiniski has never wrestled Flair or Rhodes. And you know Gene, he's a straight shooter right down the middle. His sole concern will be seeing that the best man wins, that there's some sort of control kept on the match. He'll know when to stop and when to start, how much leash to give and when to draw it tight. Gene Kiniski, Big Thunder, back as the special referee for the battle between the world champion, Ric Flair, and the two-time former world champion, Dusty Rhodes, the man who beat Harley Race twice for the gold belt. Huber taking his lumps, and Blackwell lines him up for the diving headbutt right to the neck. The diving headbutt from Crusher Blackwell, and Huber really sinking into trouble. Blackwell laughing, and so is Patera. Huber has really run into trouble. There's the bear hug by Blackwell. Patera has the knee up. Look out. Oh, Huber run backwards into the knee of the Missouri state champion. Patera and Blackwell together may be unstoppable. Huber trying to get over and make the tag with Bruce Reed. Patera throws a kick at Reed. That just angers Reed. The referees chase Bruce back into his corner. Patera whips Huber to the ropes, and Huber comes off of that kick. Oh, that kid has fire. He never quits. Huber makes the tag to Reed. Drop kick from Bruce Reed. Down goes Patera. Reed lifts Patera and slams him to the mat. A punch to the cheekbone from Bruce Reed on Ken Patera. This crowd in an uproar as Patera is clobbered in the stomach by Bruce Reed. Reed tries to cover Patera. They're close to the ropes, and Blackwell reaching in for a possible tag. Patera has the shoulder up. Tag made to Blackwell. Reed doesn't know there's a tag made, and Blackwell wades into Reed with a forearm smash to the back. Oh, another forearm driven home by Crusher Blackwell. Reed didn't see him coming. He had things going his way, but then Blackwell made the tag and got in there and attacked Reed before Reed could be ready. Now it's the bear hug by Crusher Blackwell on Bruce Reed. Blackwell squeezing. That's 480 pounds. Reed's midsection, his ribs, his sternum being pulled into all that bulk and size. Here comes Patera tagged into the ring. Blackwell hangs on to Reed for Patera. Patera with a knee to Reed's back. And now there's the bear hug by Missouri state champion Ken Patera on Bruce Reed. Patera squeezing Reed. Huber yelling at Reed, come on, tag. Patera lifts Reed, runs him backwards into the buckles. Patera then pulls Reed out of the corner and tags Crusher Blackwell. They're working pretty well together. Reed punches his way out, and then Blackwell with a headbutt into the lower back, another headbutt into the kidney area from Crusher Blackwell. That guy is mean, and he knows how to hurt you. He knows how to use his body to hurt you, and there's a lot of body there to use. Blackwell to the air, headbutt into the back. Don't forget, Blackwell weighs 10 more pounds roughly than Andre the Giant. Here comes Patera. Now Reed has run into difficulty against Blackwell and Patera. Patera with a smash to Bruce Reed. Another forearm. Reed comes out with a forearm blast of his own. Reed reverses the whip, and Patera is thrown into the corner by Bruce Reed.
10 minutes have expired, 10 minutes left.
Tag is made to Crusher Blackwell. A knee to the face. A headbutt to the stomach on Blackwell. Blackwell doubled up a bit. Oh, hey, that hurt him. Blackwell stunned by Bruce Reed. An elbow smash to the head on Blackwell by Reed. Reed with a forearm to the jaw. Reed tries to go underneath Blackwell to get to Huber, and Blackwell just went right down on top of him. The arch just came down on top of Bruce Reed.
All the way.
Good idea. Didn't work, however. Blackwell had enough presence of mind to see what Reed had in mind. He cut him off. And just when Blackwell seemed to be getting into some trouble, he managed to turn things around. The front face lock by Crusher Blackwell on Bruce Reed. And look at Blackwell roll him over. He wants to get to the corner where Patera is, and he uses his head and his strength to make it work and pull Reed to the corner. Patera working with the knee lifts to the back of Bruce Reed. The referee bawling out Patera for using the tights to set up those knee lifts. Reed comes off with a forearm smash. Reed goes between the legs and makes the tag with Huber. Patera right on top of Huber. Patera and Huber toe-to-toe, and Huber's getting the better of it. Spike Huber pounding on the Missouri champion. Oh, Patera taking his lumps from Spike Huber. Down goes the Missouri King. Huber pounds on the head of Ken Patera. He covers the Missouri ruler. Count of one, and then Patera throws Huber off. Patera with a shot to the stomach. He is tough. But so is Huber, and Huber is showing that exactly toe-to-toe to Patera. Again, Patera dropped down by Huber. Huber rolls Patera over, tries to cover Patera. Patera threw him off. All that raw strength comes in pretty handy now and then for Ken Patera. Huber pounds Patera into the corner, and I have to tell you that Spike Huber at this point is really dishing out the punishment, really giving a battering to Ken Patera. To the air! Can he keep him up there? He spins him, the airplane spin by Huber! The airplane spin! Down goes Patera, tries for the pin. Here comes Crusher Blackwell! Oh, Blackwell! With an elbow drop to the back of Huber, and now Reed is after Blackwell. Reed pounds Blackwell to the ropes. Huber down and hurt. Patera catches Reed from behind with a knee. Blackwell backing up. Where's Blackwell going? Huber's still down. Oh, Blackwell crushes Reed against the buckles. Reed knocked out of the ring by Blackwell. Blackwell and Patera double teaming. Oh, together. They manhandle Huber, throw him to the ropes and into the ring post. Reed is hurt. I think Huber's hurt. Huber is hurt after being double teamed and thrown into the post. Patera just battering Huber, manhandling him. The crowd in an uproar as Ken Patera batters Spike Huber. Reed fighting back against Blackwell outside the ring. Patera and Huber are the two. Here's Dick the Bruiser. Here's the Bruiser. He's wrestling later. Here comes the Bruiser. The Bruiser after Patera. That's his son-in-law in there, Smith, trying to stop him. We have a Donnybrook. The Bruiser all over Patera. Patera whipped to the ropes. Up, over the top. Dick the Bruiser coming to the rescue of Huber and Reed. The Bruiser daring Patera. He's all over Patera again, pounding on him. Huber and Reed battering Blackwell. Patera's been knocked out of the ring, and he's going right out of the ring to the dressing room. Blackwell leaving too. We'll have to find out from the referees and Mickey Garagiola what happened. I'm sure that Huber and Reed have been disqualified. Originally, we had tentatively planned to talk to Ken Patera after that tag match, but I think everyone would agree that after what happened, the guy to talk to is Dick the Bruiser. And Dick, I know you've got your own problems today, you've got your own match coming up, but well, describe your feelings on what happened just before here.
Well, can you think if somebody had part of your family down and was stomping on them, one of the supposed to be the world's strongest man has got a part of your family down and trying to tear his ear off? Or agree that guy that's supposed to weigh 450 pounds is jumping on him. Then they throw him into a pole. How much can a human take? And Dick the Bruiser, I'm sorry. let me tell Sam Muchnick I'm sorry that I interfered in his matches again. I'm sorry, but I can't take it when they jump on my son-in-law, and I'm not going to allow it.
Well, Dick, you mentioned Sam Muchnick, and of course, you know, Sam's told you many times that if you could just control your temper once in a while, you might have a title belt around your waist. And of course, you have that opportunity coming up against Ken Patera to become the Missouri State Champion.
I understand that this is Sam's farewell promotion. Is that right?
That is correct. His final card.
His final promotional wrestling card of his career. And I want to tell you, Sam, I promise you I won't get disqualified. I promise you I won't hit anybody with a chair. I won't hit the commissioners. I won't do anything to get myself disqualified because I want to spend the entire match in the ring with Ken Patera. And I'm going to win the match and win the belt in a farewell response. That's what I'm going to give you, Sam Muchnick, for all the years that you've given the people good wrestling in right here in St. Louis. I'm going to get him.
A promise that you will dethrone Ken Patera? Am I hearing that correct?
That's a promise. I'll do everything I can to not be the old bruiser. I'm going to be a new bruiser that doesn't hit people out of the ring. I won't get disqualified. I am going to spend all my wrath and meanness on Ken Patera, especially for what he did.
Well, Dick, if you could do that, I'm sure it would be one of the crowning moments in your career, and I think you would agree disqualifications have hurt you, but this time we have your word.
You have my word, every one of you people. It's a show-me state, and I'm going to show every one of you. I'm going to get Ken Patera, and I'm going to beat him for the title right in front of Sam Muchnick's farewell promotion.
I'm going by the rules, says Dick the Bruiser, as he smashes the head of Malley. Well, he didn't grab his hair.
You're right. He's going by the Bruiser rules.
The Bruiser rules. Uh-oh, there goes Malley. Through the ropes and out of the ring and nearly into the spectators in the front row. He yells something at one young lady down there. He says, that's how Patera's going to look to you, probably. You know, despite all their arguments and disputes over the years between Dick the Bruiser and Sam Muchnick, there was always that tremendous element of respect between the two. And the Bruiser knew that Sam Muchnick did what he did because he thought it was right. And Sam Muchnick knew that the Bruiser was an individualist, a renegade. He travels his own path, whether anybody goes along or not. Tom Malley pits out of the ring on the other side, and the crowd stands and cheers for the Bruiser. Dick the Bruiser on the warpath. Where's Ken Patera?
He's not playing no favorites. He's throwing him out of three sides of the ring. Now he's got one more left.
One side left. That's where you're at.
That's what I'm watching.
The Bruiser.
Here it comes.
Here we go. Bruiser rules. Bruiser rules. And Malley hits a chair as he goes flying out. I'm just following the rules, says the Bruiser. Poor Tom Malley. You just feel like a basketball. Dick the Bruiser. So far, so good, Dick. That's what I'm going to do, Patera. He yelled out, am I going by the rules? The Bruiser lines up Malley and again rams him into that corner.
5 minutes have elapsed, 15 minutes left.
Tom Malley is ready for the cleaners. Okay, says the Bruiser as he mounts the ropes. Lining up Malley, who is simply beaten to a pulp by the Bruiser. Wouldn't he love to do it to Patera? Wouldn't he love to do that to the Missouri champion? The Bruiser forces the shoulders of Malley down. Count of 1, 2, 3. The atomic drop. And Dick the Bruiser, playing by his own special Bruiser rules. Well, he can dish out the bruises, but so can Ken Patera. And when that Missouri State title's on the line, it's going to be a brawl. Look out, Mickey. The Bruiser, a little confused right now. I think he thought Mickey was Ken Patera. Let's hear from Mickey Garagiola.
In 5 minutes and 23 seconds,
Now for the footage from January 1st, 1982 at the Checker Dome. It's raw, from the gut, down and dirty, but it's very, very real. KPLR TV sent one cameraman to take a look at the action and the ceremony so that Sam and I could have a copy. Now you have a copy too. You're looking at a historic moment, so take a little look away from the rough edges of production and enjoy the moment of wrestling at the Checker Dome on Sam Muchnick's farewell night.
Introducing from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, weighing 267 pounds, Bob Sweetan. And his opponent from Wellington, New Zealand, weighing 232 pounds, one of the greatest wrestlers ever to step inside a ring. For the last time, ladies and gentlemen, Pat
O'Connor in his farewell match, his last match in his career against Bob Sweetan. Listen to that crowd roar. This meant so much, and it didn't take long. A fast and furious match, and when O'Connor saw the opening, he pounced with the sleeper hold on Bob Sweetan, trying to take Sweetan down, put Bob Sweetan to sleep, and be a winner in Pat O'Connor's final match, as he was so often, as he was in January the 9th, 1959 at Kiel Auditorium, when he used a spinning toe hold to win the World Heavyweight Championship from Dick Hutton. And here, at the end of his career with the sleeper hold, the referee Lee Warren calling for the bell, and Pat O'Connor, a winner once again. He came over to the United States in 1951 from New Zealand with $250 in his pocket. He became the World Heavyweight Champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 6 minutes, 4 seconds, with the sleeper hold, going out a winner like he's always been, Pat
O'Connor making one last whirl around that ring, saying thank you to all the fans. It meant so much to him how happy he was. He congratulates the referee, shakes my hand. Of course, Bob Sweetan's taking a nap. We got to wake him up before we can get out of the ring. Pat O'Connor, he did it so often. The sleeper hold, the spinning toe hold, the reverse rolling cradle. How many holds this man knew. One of the all-time greats, a true Hall of Famer in professional wrestling. And Pat O'Connor was able to finish with a victory before almost 20,000 fans in St. Louis. What a night it was for Pat O'Connor as he stepped outside that ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, one last game for the last time, Pat O'Connor.
And then it was Crusher Blackwell in a handicap tag match against Butch Reed and Ox Baker. Two different styles of opponents for Crusher Blackwell, all 450-plus pounds. Butch Reed was showing off his muscle. He'll need a lot of muscle against Crusher Blackwell. They lock up. Reed trying to push Blackwell to the ropes. Whoop, that doesn't work. Blackwell showing he has some muscles too. What a great interview he had one time. He went on the interview and said, "I'm not fat, I'm just short. If Andre the Giant were my height, you'd say he was fat too." What a great interview that was by Crusher Blackwell in Wrestling at the Chase. Do you remember it? Reed tries to lift Blackwell for a body slam. That's 450 pounds. No, that's not going to go up so easy. Blackwell feeling pretty cocky right there against Butch Reed. Butch Reed at that point in his career was just starting to come into his own. He was really starting to gain the confidence to put together the power he had, the quickness, the moxie, the skill, the fight that he had. But this was a tough one. Crusher Blackwell at the top of his game at that point in his career in 1981. Well, actually January 1st, 1982. Blackwell hooking the head of Butch Reed. Referee Joe Tangaro, a longtime St. Louis favorite, reaching in. Remember when Tangaro owned the Cheriton restaurant on South Broadway? Tag made. Here comes Ox Baker. Whoa, here comes a big guy. This won't be Thez and O'Connor or Briscoe and Dory Jr. Ox Baker. Slow, ponderous, heavy blows right to the head of Crusher Blackwell, and he strangles Blackwell. Ox Baker strangling Crusher Blackwell in the corner. The referee trying to separate them. Ox Baker knowing nothing to hold back for against Crusher Blackwell, but Blackwell with a headbutt backs up Ox Baker. Blackwell stalking Ox Baker. Baker a little shaken right there. It takes a kick to the stomach. Blackwell pushes Baker into the corner. drives a forearm smash of his own into the chest of Ox Baker. But Baker's a pretty tough boy, and he says, let's see how tough you are, Crusher Blackwell. The two big bulls lock horns, go up against the ropes. Baker with a punch to the stomach, pounding away in the ample midsection of Crusher Blackwell. Big forearm to the head, tag made to Butch Reed. Baker trying to whip Blackwell off the ropes. He hands the arm together. They throw Blackwell to the ropes. Another punch to the stomach by Butch Reed. Reed with a forearm smash to the head. Blackwell fights back. One tough cookie, Crusher Blackwell. One tough man. He came up the hard way. Nobody ever gave him a chance. Nobody ever thought he would amount to anything, and pretty soon he was in main events from New York to Tokyo, Japan. Blackwell pushes Reed to the ropes. Again, banging on Reed. Every punch taking something out of his opponent. Reed leapfrog over the top. Beautiful drop kick right to the head of Crusher Blackwell. A second drop kick to the shoulder. Blackwell won't go down. Staggers into the corner. Catches himself on the ropes. Reed grabs the arm of Blackwell. Trying to whip him across the ring. Oh, that got reversed. And Reed hurled off balance into the corner. Blackwell backing up. Look out below. Oh! Crusher Blackwell living up to his nickname as he crushes Butch Reed into the corner. Elbow drop. Try for a pin, but Butch Reed knows where he is in the ring, and right there is something you can see he's gaining experience. He knew where he was, and it wasn't too long after this, maybe 4, 5, 6 months, when Butch Reed really became a main event star. Body slam by Crusher Blackwell. Tag made to Baker. Here comes the Ox. This isn't going to be pretty. This will not be a Sunday school picnic. Baker grabs Blackwell by the windpipe. Well, that didn't take long. Pushes Blackwell up to the ropes. No clean break here. That big left pounding down like a sledgehammer, dropping onto the chest of Crusher Blackwell. Then the cross arm grip by Baker. Once more, he tries to line him up for a big punch. Bangs away on the chest, right on the sternum. Oh, does that hurt? Crusher Blackwell is a little shaky here. Again, those blows to the chest, trying to knock the wind out to hurt the entire sternum area. Baker bends over for a backflip, and instead it's Blackwell who punts Baker's head halfway across the Checker Dome. Then power slam by Crusher Blackwell, and Ox Baker flattened right in the middle of the ring by Crusher Blackwell, who has won the handicap tag match at the Checker Dome on January 1st, 1982. Blackwell beating Baker and Reed. Let's go to the ring and make it official.
28 seconds with a falling body slam. The winner, Crusher Blackwell.
And now it's Von Raschke against Dewey Robertson. Raschke misses with the claw. Robertson off the ropes with a drop kick. Another drop kick. Everybody was fired up on Sam Muchnick's farewell card. The action was fast and furious all night long, hot and heavy. Atomic knee drop by Dewey Robertson on Von Raschke, the master of the claw. Look at Robertson mounting the ropes, flying cross body block, and Raschke caught by surprise, trapped in the ring, cradled and pinned as Dewey Robertson gets the victory over Von Raschke on Sam Muchnick's farewell card. And now it's tag team action. David Von Erich and Rufus R. Jones against Harley Race and Greg Valentine. David Von Erich flying through the air with a drop kick on Harley Race. Flying mare. Down goes Race. Knee drop right into the chest by David Von Erich. You remember this if you think back to Volume 2 of Classic St. Louis Wrestling. That's when it all started between Race and David Von Erich. Drop kick misses. Race too smart, the former world champion, hanging onto the ropes, and David misses with the drop kick. Here comes Race, setting up that diving headbutt. The diving headbutt, oh, right into the iron claw. The iron claw of David Von Erich on Harley Race. Race realizing he's made a critical error and walked right into David Von Erich's killer hold, the iron claw. Look at him digging in with that thumb right into the temple. David Von Erich with the claw on Harley Race. Race gets to his feet, looking for help, trying to make that tag. Where are you, Greg Valentine? But right now, Race hanging on. Could he go down? David Von Erich gets him to one knee. David Von Erich takes Harley Race down onto his back, and here comes Greg Valentine to break it up. Rufus R. Jones into the ring. He gets in the ring. All four men battling. All four tearing into one another. Von Erich and Valentine right now. Von Erich pushing Valentine into the corner, pounding him, ready to whip Valentine into Race if, oh, The whips were reversed, and it was Race reversing Rufus into Valentine. Valentine drop kicked out of the ring. Race knocking Rufus R. Jones out of the ring. Uh-oh, look who's left. Von Erich and Race with the Warren brothers, Lee and Ed, the referees. The Warren brothers trying to break up Valentine and Race. Whoa, there went Lee Warren. This one is a war, and you're not going to break it up easily. Ed Warren knocked down. Race, Von Erich, toe-to-toe. The referees both flatten as Race and Von Erich go at it one more time. The referees have called for the bell, trying to get this match separated. Finally, David Von Erich flattens Race, who gets out of the ring, but the referees obviously had to restore some order. What a historic scene at the end of that match. Race and Von Erich in the ring with the Warren brothers, the referees. I tried to make sure I have the information correct before we make an announcement on what happened in that tag team battle. Rufus R. Jones and David Von Erich against Race and Valentine. Let's hear it.
10 minutes and 47 seconds. Referees Lee and Ed Warren disqualified both Harley Race and David Von Erich. Therefore, the match is ruled a draw with both teams disqualified.
It happened often between Race and Von Erich. Every time they were in a ring, something could explode. And it wasn't all together over there yet. Look at David Von Erich daring Harley Race. Come on back in this ring one more time. And how many of you remember back when David's father, Fritz, was in a big feud with Greg Valentine's father, Johnny Valentine? That was back in the 1960s. I barely remember that. I think I was still in diapers. I don't know. David Von Erich, one of the most popular figures ever in the history of St. Louis wrestling. And now get ready, because from here we're going to go to the in-ring ceremony for Sam Muchnick. It was a very special evening. We really planned a lot of surprises that worked out very well for Sam Muchnick, and I think it worked out well for the fans of St. Louis. You'll see history here momentarily.
Everybody in this building knows that tonight is a very special night for wrestling in St. Louis and around the world. It's all because of one man. We all know that in our hearts, and that's Sam Muchnick. Now we're going to be bringing Sam down the aisle from the south side very shortly. He knows he's going to come in the ring, and he thinks he's coming in here to make it talk. We've got a few surprises for him. Believe me, we have a few surprises for you, too. So here is your chance. Here is your chance after 36 years of promotion to say thank you to the man who's provided all the action on Wrestling at the Chase, all the action here at the Checkerdome and Kiel Auditorium. This is your chance and our chance. I direct your attention to the south end of the Checkerdome, because coming down that aisle in a second will be the man we all want to thank tonight, the one and only promoter Sam Muchnick. Sam thinks he's here to make a speech. You're going to have to be patient, Sam, and bear with us. First of all, from all the many regular wrestling fans that we have here in St. Louis, they've made a special plaque for you, and it says the very basic message: a special thank you to Sam Muchnick for all the years of excitement, and the names are on there of many of the people who have season reservations for our wrestling and who have supported you for years. This from the fans to Sam. Okay, we have a few people in this building who want to pay their respects to Sam here this evening. We're going to introduce them, bring them through. A few will have presentations. First of all, I want to bring to the ring my partner on Wrestling at the Chase, and a gentleman who did an awful lot of work to help us tonight. Do you welcome Mickey Garagiola? And next, the sports editor of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, a fine gentleman and a longtime friend of Sam Muchnick, Mr. Bob Bragg. And of course, if we have Bob Bragg from the Post-Dispatch, we better have his competitor, the bench warmer, the executive sports editor of the St. Louis Globe-Democrat, Mr. Bob Burns. And now, representing the city of St. Louis and the mayor's office, the former manager of Kiel Auditorium and the executive director of the Cervantes Convention Center, Mr. Joe Filoni.
Sam, in behalf of the city of St. Louis and Mayor Vincent C. Shamel Jr., we want to give you this proclamation. And today was Sam Muchnick's day. Today was Sam Muchnick's day. And we're all here to congratulate you. The mayor sends his regrets he couldn't be here. He had to be out of town. But I want you to know, Sam, that we all love you and we wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Joe Filoni. Next gentleman who'd like to pay his respects to Sam is a builder of many great championship baseball teams. He also helped smooth the waters for the football Cardinals. He's on his way to Montreal, but he's here tonight to honor Sam, Mr. Bing Devine. And yet still another presentation for Sam. This gentleman started out working in the baseball Cardinal office, but he's gone a long way. Would you welcome Senator Jim Murphy?
It's really an honor and a pleasure for me to be here this evening to present to you, Sam, on behalf of the governor of the state of Missouri and of the Senate of the state of Missouri, a proclamation and appreciation for all you've done for the people of the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. God bless your retirement, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And let's not forget the House of Representatives from the state of Missouri, Representative Tom Villa.
Congratulations. Thank you. On behalf of the Missouri House of Representatives and the 162 other members, we certainly pause in our deliberations to praise Sam Muchnick for being an outstanding gentleman and a great Missourian. Thank you. Good luck to you. Congratulations. My father says hello, too. Thank you, Tom.
Another gentleman here to wish Sam well and give him his best tonight from Channel 5 Sports KSDK TV, Ron Jacober. And, oh, look who showed up. By golly, there's the sports director from Channel 5, Jay Randolph. And it wouldn't be complete if we didn't have our good friend, the host of Newsbeat on Channel 5, Mr. John Obel. And who else but from the St. Louis Senate, I'll say it, Roscoe. You all know him. He sells ribs. Roscoe McCrary. And from the St. Louis Argus, another good friend of Sam's. He's got millions of them. Morris Henderson. And making a special presentation for the Harlem Globetrotters, who Sam Muchnick has brought to us for many years, is the manager of the Checker Dome and a guy who has been absolutely invaluable going into this event this evening, Charlie Mancuso.
Sam, it's my honor on behalf of the Checker Dome and the Harlem Globetrotters to make this award to you, this special plaque. It's a souvenir poster laminated with the inscription on the bottom of the poster saying, "To Sam Muchnick, January 1, 1982. Your world-famous jump shot will now replace your world-renowned hammerlock." Ladies and gentlemen, in 1929, Sam Muchnick sat in this building with Jack Dempsey and, pondering this new facility, wondered if ever it would be filled for a wrestling match. What a way to go out. Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Muchnick.
Thanks, Charlie. But Charlie mentioned if this building would ever be filled. Let me tell you something about tonight. There were thousands of people turned away. It's a record crowd, a complete sellout of almost 20,000 people, so thank you. Next to come up and give his best to Sam Muchnick is the president of the St. Louis Steamers. I think all of us have cheered for them. Here is Ben Kerner.
Not president, vice president.
I need you.
No, you are.
Sam just said to Ben Kerner, "You're the greatest promoter in St. Louis." And Ben Kerner said to Sam, "No, you are." So we'll let him fight it out later. Also here, coming in special from Minneapolis, Minnesota, the former American Wrestling Association heavyweight champion, one of the all-time greats, Vern Gagne. And representing the National Wrestling Alliance, of which Sam was president for 21 years, is a former NWA president and the promoter in Kansas City, Mr. Bob Geigel.
Hold that for me, please.
Oh, you can do it, Bob. Go ahead.
The National Wrestling Alliance, in gratitude for his 4 decades of dedication to the growth and perpetuation of pro wrestling, proclaims Sam Muchnick World Champion Promoter. He blended the past to the present with dignity. He earned the respect among his peers with honesty. He created friendships forever with loyalty. Congratulations, Sam Muchnick.
Sam's going to need Dick the Bruiser to carry out all the hardware tonight. Also here from Minneapolis, one of the finest and most innovative promoters ever, Mr. Wally Carbo. And still another good friend in the promotion business. He's been in it about as long as Sam has, from Toronto, Canada. Real good friend, fine gentleman, Frank Tunney. And of course, you know there are a lot of wrestling publications on the market. And representing them from GC London Publishing House in New York, Mr. Bill Apter. Go ahead, shake his hand. Okay.
Sam, on behalf of your good friend Stanley Weston and the entire staff of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, we'd like to present you with this Lifetime Service to Wrestling Award for 36 years of promotional excellence. Sam?
If the Blues need any help in the rough going, Sam Muchnick might be able to provide some for this guy. The voice of the Blues and the world's greatest hockey announcer, Dan Kelly. And from KMOX TV, Channel 4, he does sports, he does weather, he does it all. Good friend to Sam's, Jim Bolin. Some of you may not know this next gentleman unless you got a speeding ticket, but he's one of the finest policemen ever to pin on a badge. A great friend of Sam's, a good help tonight. Oh, come on, he's nicer than Patera. Captain Eddie Moran. And with a very special presentation, and I guess it's fitting because Wrestling at the Chase has been on KPLR TV for 23 years. Here is the Vice President and General Manager of KPLR TV, Channel 11, Mr. Hal Prater. That took dedication to carry that because it's heavy.
I've been working with Sam now for about 8 years, and I learned very early that Sam was #1 in wrestling in St. Louis. Took me a few more months to learn that Sam is not only #1 in St. Louis, not only #1 in the United States, but Sam is really #1 in wrestling in the whole world. As Sam, as head of the World Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, played a very large factor in the health of the whole industry. Not only is he St. Louis's promoter, but he is what Pete Rozelle is to the NFL, or Bowie Kuhn was or is to baseball. He is truly #1. On behalf of KPLR TV, our chairman of the board, Harold Koppler, and our president, Ted Koppler, we'd like to present Sam with this present. Why don't you just rip a little off of it? What we have here is a VHS television tape recorder so that Sam can record his own programs, and we're going to present Sam with a copy of this whole presentation afterwards so he can remember this moment and play it back and live in color as many times as you want. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Hal Prater. Don't give up yet. There's more. Sam Muchnick's lost so much money at the racetracks, betting on his room number at his office, that it's only fitting that Fairmount Park should be represented by Mr. Jack Weaver.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Ogden Corporation, I would like to pay tribute to the world's greatest wrestling promoter and the world's worst handicapper, Sam Muchnick.
Now, you know, in the history of wrestling at the Chase, there have only been 5 of us lucky enough to be at the microphone. One, Don Cunningham, has passed away. One preceded me, and I had the honor of working with this fine gentleman, formerly an outstanding professional wrestler, real good friend. He's now in Indianapolis, came in special for tonight, Mr. Sam Menaker. And of course, preceding Sam Menaker was the first man that I ever worked with, a true professional and a really fine friend. One of the longtime St. Louis favorites. Would you welcome back George Abel?
Sam, congratulations.
We also want to introduce someone who's here in the audience tonight, came in special from Washington, D.C., good friend of promoter Sam Muchnick. He's seated in parquet number 11. From Illinois, the Honorable Melvin Price. Mr. Price, you stand up and wave. Appreciate you coming all the way from Washington to be here with Sam tonight. I know there was one other guy on Wrestling at the Chase. He made famous wall-to-wall wrestling. He went on to a few other things like the Today Show, the World Series, NBC television, baseball. Of course, you know, it wasn't too long ago, a few years back, he used to sneak into this building through that door down at the south end. Tonight we're bringing him in as a special guest, and I think you want to welcome St. Louis's own Joe Garagiola. Say a few words, Joe.
I'm happy to be here on this great night, and what a wonderful thing you're doing for Sam. Thank you, St. Louis, for being so nice to him. Thank you for being so nice to me. Thank you.
There are a lot of other friends here who would like to honor Sam. We simply don't have time to get them all through the ring. And I know they all pay their respects to him. So let's turn over the microphone to the man who brings all of these different people together, all walks of life, our friend, Sam Muchnick.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is indeed a surprise, and I really mean that sincerely. I didn't know all these people would be here, and I think Larry and Mancuso and a few others got together and made this evening so great. It's wonderful to be able to go out when you say you had a sellout. I had many a crowd of 1,900 and 2,000 people. St. Louis has been good to me, and the only reason I was successful is because of the millions of fans in St. Louis and around the world that came to the matches. I've been successful because I had the finest wrestlers that anybody could procure for this area, for St. Louis, and I owe it all to you. A promoter cannot do well unless he gets the people in the building or if he gets the wrestlers. I know you want to see the next two matches. I'm going to make this short. Thank you, St. Louis.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Muchnick.
Ken Patera, Dick the Bruiser, the Missouri State title at stake. Remember what you saw earlier here in Volume 10? Remember the promise that Dick the Bruiser made? He wouldn't get disqualified. He wouldn't hit Ken Patera with a chair. Let's see what happens. It's going outside the ring. Patera and the Bruiser, referee Charles Vernader, knowing that this is no man's land. Patera and the Bruiser outside battling. The Bruiser pushing Patera up against the ring and then slamming his head into the steel ring post. Well, he didn't hit him with a chair, I will say that. So far, Dick the Bruiser's kept his word. He hasn't hit the referee. He hasn't hit a commissioner. He hasn't gotten disqualified. The Missouri State title up for grabs. Patera throws a chair in the ring. The Bruiser grabs that chair. Charlie Vernader trying to take it away. The chair drops. Patera grabs the chair. He takes a swing at Dick the Bruiser. Oh, and Patera beans himself with the chair. Patera beaned himself when he missed Dick the Bruiser and knocked himself silly. Dick the Bruiser crawling across Ken Patera and covering him for the count of 3. And Dick the Bruiser, no, he didn't hit Ken Patera with a chair. Patera made a mistake and did it to himself, and Dick the Bruiser kept his promise to promoter Sam Muchnick and won the Missouri State Championship on January 1st, 1982. The crowd screaming, yelling. It was deafening as that crowd roared. Dick the Bruiser keeping his word to Sam Muchnick, doing something that had often eluded him, winning a championship, winning a major title. He'd done it once or twice before in battles with Dick Murdoch, but a lot of people were starting to count Dick the Bruiser out at this point, and it didn't turn out to be that way because Dick the Bruiser came up big against a real superstar of wrestling, powerhouse Ken Patera, the strongest man in the world. Patera in agony about what happened. He can't believe he made such a big mistake against Dick the Bruiser. And of course Charles Vernader still trying to make sure there's not more action as the Bruiser chases Patera, almost gets me. Patera outside the ring, frustrated. It led to a lot of motivation for Ken Patera because he still wanted big matches. Now, let's take a look at Dick the Bruiser celebrating one last time, and we'll hear it out loud. And what a night it was. And now, 2 out of 3 falls, 1 hour time limit. The World Heavyweight Championship as recognized by the National Wrestling Alliance at stake. Gene Kiniski, a former world champion, the referee, the third man in the ring. Dusty Rhodes with the arm lock on Nature Boy Ric Flair.
A very careful opening fall between Flair and Rhodes. They knew each other well. They knew what was at stake. They were looking for openings. They were looking for weaknesses, things they could attack, things they could maybe take advantage of. They knew it would be a long match. We're already about 10 minutes in, and a long way to go between Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair. Rhodes moving in on Flair. Flair able to turn Rhodes in the corner, whips him. No, the whip reversed, and Flair takes it right on the shoulder. Dusty Rhodes pounding on that shoulder. If you can get one part of a man's body weakened, you can attack that throughout a match. Elbow smash to the neck and shoulder of Ric Flair. Flair a little lost. Whoa, falls through the ropes and right out of the ring onto the concrete floor of the Checkerdome as Gene Kiniski begins the 20 count that Flair has to beat back into the ring. Kiniski very careful. Kiniski had his own ideas on the title. Think back to Volume 8. And we heard from Gene Kiniski before he had a big match with Ric Flair for the World Heavyweight Championship. You know how much the title meant to Gene. You knew without a question that Gene Kiniski was going to call this match right down the middle. No favoritism one way or the other. He might not have been a fan of certain tactics one man or the other used, but it would make no matter. If somebody's shoulders were down, they were getting counted. 1, 2, 3. Dusty Rhodes in control here in the first fall. Best of 3. Flair versus Rhodes. The gold belt at stake. Each man wanting to finish this career that they've seen make wrestling so important to them and so many millions of fans around the world. They want to win a title or to keep a title in Flair's case because it's Sam Muchnick's final night. And they know it means a lot that everybody would remember what happened at the Checkerdome on January 1st, 1982. Look how close Kiniski's in there watching that shoulder. If Flair is even touching that, just barely touching it, Kiniski right there where a referee should be. Checking both shoulders. Flair tried to bridge a little, but actually it's Rhodes. Look at he has very good balance. Dusty Rhodes probably never got the credit he deserved in some quarters. He was a pretty doggone good wrestler. He knew what he could do. He knew what he could not do. And that's really important in any part of sports. Don't try to do what you can't do. Dusty Rhodes was not going to be Pat O'Connor. He had to be what he was. So he used his size, his strength, and he used his charisma. He used the way he could get the crowd fired up on his side to maybe psych out an opponent. Dusty Rhodes was one pretty smart character inside that ring. And right now he's making life miserable for Ric Flair in an old school kind of way, tying up the arms, using the balance, punishing with the hammerlock on the left arm of Ric Flair. Flair crying out as Rhodes moves his body weight around to jerk, to twist, to bend that elbow, that shoulder, to make everything hurt. Again, jerking the arm forward. Ouch, says Ric Flair, the World Heavyweight Champion. A lot of people wondered at that time, was Ric Flair just a flash in the night, passing comet? Well, I think today we all know the answer to that question. Ric Flair put together one of the greatest careers in wrestling history. And maybe what happened that night on Sam Muchnick's farewell card, as Ric Flair, with all that pressure, all that attention and the entire wrestling world on him, he was able to withstand it. That probably made Ric Flair tough enough that still today, 25 years later, Ric Flair's still in that ring wrestling. Knee lift to the stomach by Ric Flair. Dusty Rhodes doubled up. Kiniski not too happy about the non-clean break. Kiniski says, you want to punch me? Go ahead. Take the disqualification for the first fall. Are you that dumb, Ric Flair? A little bit of ring generalship by Gene Kiniski to Ric Flair. And Flair never was that dumb. He was very careful about what he had to do and when to do it. Side saddle suplex? No. Rhodes has it blocked. He knows it's a hard balance position to get. He blocks it. And side saddle suplex by Dusty Rhodes to Ric Flair. Flair takes a hard bounce. Rhodes covers him. Trying to catch a quick pin. Kiniski right there. You can see that Flair has a shoulder up. No reason to count. Flair, though, is still trapped on the mat. You know, that's a hard position to be in when you have a big man laying across your mouth and your nose, and you can't breathe. Now, Dusty hooks the arm, the same left arm that he worked earlier in the first fall. Dusty trying to punish that arm. Flair trying to get up. Moving around, so there's not quite as much pressure in the shoulder. Ric Flair leaning into the head of Dusty Rhodes. Rhodes pushes Flair into the corner. Kiniski wants a break. Let's see if he gets a clean one from Dusty Rhodes. Oh, it's Flair. Found an opening. Punch to the head by Ric Flair. Flair and Rhodes. Oh, Dusty Rhodes angry now. Flair and Rhodes in the corner, trading blows and chops. And Dusty Rhodes lands a big punch to the forehead of Ric Flair. Headbutt to the stomach by Ric Flair. Always thinking. Always looking for the opening. He found one there. Rhodes
Rhodes' attention was diverted by the referee, and Rick landed a headbutt to the stomach. It was a legal blow, it was above the belt. Kiniski again. Not too sure about that. Come on, Gene, now. Come on, call it down the middle. We made you sound like a good guy. Let's be careful. Okay, Kiniski backs up. Dusty Rhodes in trouble. Still trying to regain his win. Ric Flair drops the knee across the forehead of Dusty Rhodes. Ric Flair banging that knee into the forehead. Measures Rhodes one more time. Says, woo! Goes to the air and drops the knee once more on Dusty Rhodes' head. Flair covers Rhodes, hooks a leg. Count of 2, and Rhodes kicks away. Flair really knew he probably couldn't hold him down there, but sometimes it's worth trying for that quick fall. You never know when you might catch an opponent off guard. The guy doesn't pay attention to the count. He's trying to catch his breath. What he thinks is 2 is really 3, and all of a sudden you've got 1 fall on your chart. Ric Flair, flying mare. Down goes Rhodes. Flair hooking the head. Now he's the one bending Rhodes forward, making it hard for Rhodes to breathe. It's legal. It's not a choke. You can see that. Gene Kiniski can too. It's not a smother. But if you push the man's chin down into his chest, and then you bring your forearm right across the bridge of the nose, and that's what Kiniski's talking about. He doesn't want it to be a smother. But Flair using what sometimes is called a crossface in the dressing room, putting that bone, that hard bone, in your forearm right across the eye, the nose of Dusty Rhodes. It doesn't look like a big spectacular hold, but it hurts like a son of a gun. Once again, Kiniski being careful that it's not a smother. Flair leaning into Rhodes. Dusty, this one hurts, and he's having some problems. Don't forget he took a headbutt to the stomach earlier in this fall, so he was winded there. Kiniski watching, no smother. Rhodes, is he still functional? Now, Flair switches into more conventional chin lock. Now the pressure underneath the jaw, along the jawbone, up by the ear, and Dusty Rhodes senses that the pressure's a little different, and actually it's a little bit easier to fight against as Rhodes tries to come to his feet. Dusty up in the air, but Flair pulls him down. Was there some hair pulling there? We couldn't see from this vantage point. Kiniski couldn't either. Rhodes did go down fairly easily, though, so it may have been that all that energy expended getting to his feet is now wasted energy because he's back on his butt. Ric Flair squeezing that head. Once more, using that bone in the forearm. One of the lost arts of wrestling sometimes, using the forearm bone, using different things to hurt somebody. It isn't always so easily seen by the crowd. It's not a spectacular move, but it's a grinding, wearing, torturous type of wrestling. And that's what Ric Flair was doing against Dusty Rhodes right there with that forearm. Front face lock by Flair. Switching again, the pressure he's putting on the head and neck. Kiniski had checked, it was not a strangle. Kiniski being careful though, he knows Ric Flair's reputation. Rhodes once more sinking into some trouble. One thing that opponents could usually attack against Dusty Rhodes was his stamina. Wear him out, lean on him. Pat O'Connor often talked in the dressing room to me about laying your body weight on the opponent. And that's what Ric Flair's doing there. He's just putting his full body weight, 240, 245 pounds, on the neck, on the body of your opponent. You wear him out. He gets tired. When he gets tired, he makes mistakes. That's what Ric Flair is looking for there, trying to wear Dusty down. Work on his stamina, something that was always in question for Dusty Rhodes. In the corner again, Flair with the forearm. Dusty happy to get his head free. Throws a right cross that skids off the chin of Ric Flair. He whips Flair to the ropes, bends over. Backdrop by Dusty Rhodes on Ric Flair. He takes Flair again, whipping him to the ropes. Elbow drop, and that was Dusty Rhodes' favorite. Dusty hitting the ropes. Here he comes, that big elbow, and he misses. The mistake that Flair was looking for, maybe? Jackknife, cradle. Flair has Rhodes down. Referee counts 3. And Ric Flair has won the first fall. The battle of wits won by Flair. He wore Rhodes down. Rhodes made the mistake. And when the mistake was made, Ric Flair, the champion, he knew how to cash in. So the all-important first fall belonged to Ric Flair, but in the second fall, Dusty Rhodes went for a style of sleeper on Flair. Not a strangling. Kiniski once again as the referee checking for that. Rhodes grinding the head. It's not a conventional sleeper, and I don't think it's as well applied maybe as someone like Pat O'Connor. But maybe Rhodes learned from Flair in that first fall as he tries to grind down Ric Flair. Dusty Rhodes has a lot of body weight. He can lean on Ric Flair and make life hard for Flair. Flair trying to get to the ropes to break up that possible sleeper hold or combination sleeper headlock. And finally Flair gets to the ropes. Clean break by Dusty Rhodes. Flair trying to get his win. He doesn't want to fall prey to the same thing that happened to Dusty Rhodes in the first fall when Rhodes made a mistake, missed the big elbow, and allowed Flair to catch him with the jackknife and cradle. Elbow drop by Rhodes, a careful elbow drop. He didn't want to miss. You can see he took something off of that elbow drop. He missed in the first fall and it cost him big time. So that time, that elbow drop was a little careful and probably didn't have the impact he would have liked it to have. Rhodes bringing Flair to his feet. Oh, Rick brings that knee up quickly into the midsection of Dusty. Are we talking about wind and stamina again? Maybe Flair's thinking about it. Look at Dusty trying to get that win. He's doubled up. It was a legal blow. It was right into the midsection. It was in the rib cage. Probably about the floating rib area. Dusty lashes out with a big chop at Ric Flair. Certain amount of desperation there for Dusty Rhodes. He's down one fall to none. The last thing you want is in a high-profile match like this to lose 2 straight falls. It certainly would have knocked Dusty Rhodes well down the ladder of contenders. That's the last thing he wanted. The first thing he wanted was to be the World Heavyweight Champion when this is all over. Flying tackle, but Dusty had his head forward too, and they bang heads. Rhodes and Flair both going down on the mat after a collision. But Flair has his wits about him. He's crawling outside. Ric Flair thinking top rope, but maybe he's not thinking too clearly either because Rhodes is already up. Look out below. Dusty Rhodes hurls Ric Flair into the center of the ring. Hits the ropes. Throws that elbow, and that elbow lands. That elbow right on the button of Ric Flair's chin. And Dusty Rhodes pinned Ric Flair to even this match at 1 fall apiece. First, Flair winning with the jackknife and cradle. Now Rhodes winning with the elbow drop. It's 1 fall apiece, baby. It's all the marbles now.
In 5 minutes, 38 seconds, with a flying elbow drop. The winner of the second fall, Dusty Rhodes.
Longtime St. Louis favorite and former great referee Joe Schoenberger ringing the bell to begin the third fall between Dusty Rhodes and Ric Flair for the World Heavyweight Championship on January 1st, 1982, before a jam-packed Checkerdome, nearly 20,000 people on hand. Were you there? A lot of people wanted to be. There were thousands turned away. Rhodes pushing Flair to the corner. The truth is, when this card was announced, when Sam Muchnick's farewell program was announced, the main event probably could have been Charlie Regal against Herb Simmons. Not that they aren't great performers, but it would have sold out anyway. Flair going down. So many people knew the magic spell that Sam Muchnick had wove around St. Louis. What he made wrestling mean in St. Louis guaranteed that on Sam Muchnick's farewell card, you were going to have a sellout. So many people just wanted to be there. It was a moment nobody wanted to miss. That moment in the ring when all those people came up to say hello to Sam. People from the baseball Cardinals, from the hockey team, from the political world, from all parts of the media. How many wrestling promoters ever did any wrestling promoter ever have a moment like that in the ring where those people came to the ring in respect, not being paid, just because they wanted to be there to say, Sam, you're a special guy, and what you've done in our town in St. Louis is so special. Dusty Rhodes pounding on Flair. Dusty Rhodes wanting to win the World Heavyweight Championship on Sam Muchnick's farewell card. Belts Ric Flair right out of the ring. Flair going to take full advantage of that 20 count outside the ring. You can bet on that. Even then, he was a ring general, and he's proven that here. He proved it one more time. Back into the ring, slowly, carefully, making Rhodes get anxious. But Dusty's been around the block too. No mistakes. The crowd's screaming. They want Dusty Rhodes to finish Ric Flair right here. And a quick kick to the stomach by Ric Flair. Oh, that was in the knee. He caught him right in the quadricep. That's right. He went for the quadricep, not the stomach. He nailed on that muscle right above the kneecap. Did you ever have that muscle get hurt? Many weightlifters have torn that quadricep tendon. When that hurts, you cannot keep your body weight. That leg is as good as dead. Ric Flair knows it. Oh, that was a precise kick right on the quadricep. And now Flair goes to work even more on the left knee of Dusty Rhodes. Remember, it's carrying a fair amount of weight on Dusty. Again, is this a vulnerable point? Look at the man strut. Look at the man strut. Ric Flair bringing Dusty Rhodes over to the ropes. Oh, this is dangerous, going full body weight across the knee of Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes in agony, rolling into the middle of the ring as Ric Flair struts some more. He knows he's found a vulnerable point to attack on Dusty Rhodes. Once he got that quadricep tendon hurting, now Ric Flair has something to attack. A quick blow to the upper body, but that's just a diversion. Ric going outside the ring onto the press table, grabbing the leg of Dusty Rhodes. Oh, he's going to the steel ring post. Rhodes fighting against it, and Ric Flair slamming the knee into the steel ring post. Flair grabbing the knee again, and Flair ramming that knee one more time into the steel ring post. Ric Flair having almost crippled Dusty Rhodes now. Can he follow up? And Kiniski unhappy about the attack outside the ring by Ric Flair on Dusty Rhodes. Flair pushes Rhodes back, begins to stomp on the chest of Dusty Rhodes, knocks some of the wind out of him, kicks to the stomach, to the lung area. Dusty couldn't get his body weight up. You saw there how he tried to get to his feet and lost it. And Rhodes had many times where he'd had knee trouble in his career. Everybody knew that, and there's Flair with the figure 4 leg lock. The figure 4 leg lock, the hold that Ric Flair and Buddy Rogers before him used to so often cripple opponents. Remember Jack Briscoe's figure 4 leg lock? It was a powerful, devastating maneuver for all of those champions, and it is right here for Ric Flair, but Dusty Rhodes says, no way, I will not quit, I will not quit, I will not give up. Flair grinding away, squeezing, Ric putting all the pressure he can onto the knees of Dusty Rhodes. Kiniski checking carefully if Rhodes wants to submit. Flair saying, ask him, ask him. Rhodes says no, drops back in pain. Flair jamming on those knees, trying to hurt the left knee of Dusty Rhodes. Still, that original kick, and he may have caught part of the kneecap with the kick too as we look back at that tape now 20-some years later. What an important move that was in this match to set up Dusty Rhodes being in this kind of trouble for Ric Flair. But Rhodes trying to reverse the figure 4. Can he roll it over? Can he take the leverage away? No. He tried, but he couldn't do it. The pain was too great for Dusty Rhodes as Ric Flair kept grinding away with that figure 4 leg lock. Rhodes once again trying to reverse it, Can he get over? Can he get over? Yes, he turned it. He was able to turn it. Flair lost the leverage, but look at Ric going immediately to the rope. He doesn't want to be trapped here. He doesn't want to be crippled as badly as Rhodes is. Kiniski has to ask for a break. Flair getting out of that figure 4 as quickly as he can. So while Ric is hurting a little bit, it's still Dusty Rhodes who's hurting a lot. He was in that figure 4 leg lock a long time, especially after those kicks and knees to the quadriceps. Flair going up off the ropes, elbow drop to the head of Dusty Rhodes. Flair hooks the head of Dusty, going for the suplex, trying to lift him. Dusty blocking it. Yes, Dusty's blocked it. Dusty's blocked the suplex of Flair. Can he take Flair up for the suplex of his own? He has him in the air. Yes, Dusty Rhodes with the suplex on Ric Flair. Dusty, can he go to the ropes? What's he going? Oh, is he going for a figure 4 of his own? Yes. Dusty Rhodes going for his own figure 4 leg lock on Ric Flair, the last thing in the world Flair wants. Flair desperately trying to get to the ropes. Can he get to the ropes? Can he reverse it? He's stuck in the middle of the ring, and Dusty Rhodes has a figure 4 leg lock. Ric Flair's favorite hold on him, but Flair finally gets to the ropes. He got there once again pretty quickly. If you take the 2 moments after the reversal and then that figure 4 leg lock, Flair wasn't in the figure 4 nearly as long as Dusty Rhodes was. It was Rhodes who took the punishment to the knee. Flair whipped to the ropes. He lifts Flair. Oh, can he hold him? Oh, the leg gives out. The leg gives out. Flair cradles the leg. 1, 2, 3. Ric Flair has retained the World Heavyweight Championship by defeating Dusty Rhodes 2 falls out of 3 on Sam Muchnick's farewell card at the Checkerdome. Let's make it official because it's Ric Flair who still has the gold belt in his possession.
In 30 minutes and 8 seconds with a body press, the winner of the 3rd fall, the match, and still World Heavyweight Champion, Ric Flair!
And now let's go to the private party for Sam Muchnick. People have never seen this before.
We got more applause tonight than anybody I've ever seen. There are a few presentations that people wanted to make to Sam more or less privately this evening, but before we do that, we'd like to introduce a few people in the room. We didn't do it in the building because we didn't want to call attention to 20,000 people to all of Sam's family. So somewhere in this room is Sam's one son, Dr. Richard Muchnick. Dick? Dick Muchnick? Where's Dan? Dan Muchnick and Julie, his wife. Dan, where you at? Come on, Julie. And Kathy Muchnick, Sam's daughter. Oscar Rutger is representing Rawlings Sporting Goods tonight. He's already made a little presentation to Sam. He's always thought that Sam should speak softly and carry a big stick. So the Adirondack Bat Company made this special big stick, Sam Muchnick personal model. And Oscar, you can explain all the details on it.
Well, Sam being associated with the wrestling promotion, actually this doesn't have too much to do with it. But over the many years, I mean, you've been the big stick of the Wrestling Alliance, you've been the big stick of the promotion here in St. Louis over the years. So Frank Toy and I thought it'd be a nice thing to present to you the Big Stick Award from the Rawlings Company. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say something to my friend Oscar Rutger. Years ago, when I was a young sports writer, a lot of times I sat on the first base side of the ballpark. And there was a young pitcher warming up. That was on a team that Babe Ruth was on, Lou Gehrig. He never got in the ball game because in those days they didn't have relief pitchers. The pitchers finished 9 innings. And then occasionally a relief pitcher got in, and Oscar Rutger was the top relief pitcher of the New York Yankees.
Where's Sergeant Ken Gable? Sergeant Gable? Ken? You know that Sam's been very close to the police department over the years, and the guys who work for us down Kiel Auditorium and help us out at the Checker Dome with the security for the wrestlers to and from the ring and also around the dressing rooms thought so much of Sam, they wanted to make a little presentation for him too. So here's Sergeant Ken Gable.
Yeah, we'd like to give Sam this nightstick as a token of our appreciation. It's a little inscription that says, "Good luck, Sam, from the men in blue who work at the matches, January 1st, 1982.
Thank you. We got a club called the 1, 2, 3 Club, and the guys get out of line once in a while. I'm going to take that every meeting. They get out of line, I'll use it.
I'd be careful talking about the 1, 2, 3 Club because they're still to come. Don't, Bob Victor, you listening to what he's saying about you, boy? You listening? Got that written down?
Now you don't get it, Sam.
You know, Sam spends a lot of Fridays over at English's Tavern in Belleville, Illinois, and there's a crowd of guys over there, and they thought a little bit of Sam, too, and they had a special presentation for Sam Muchnick. So, Bob McGlynn, would you do the honors? Bob McGlynn, representing the folks from Jack English's. Watch your step. Watch your step.
Sam, one of the greatest guys that ever lived. And I really hate to see you retire because I'm afraid I'm out of a job now. Just when I was coming into my own, I'm going to have to leave. But Sam, on behalf of your friends from Belleville, that great German community where we Irish all moved, I'd like to present you with a present. This is from Jim Bolin and from Tom McMahon, who runs all your bets for you out at the racetrack, and from Jack English himself, and last of all, from myself. Sam, you are really a wonderful gentleman, and we all love you.
Thank you. I want to thank Bob, and I want to remind all you people that Muhammad Ali retired 4 times and came back. So I don't know. We had a big sellout tonight, so. But I won't be back, but I'll be back and rooting for my followers, the people that are taking over the promotion, and hope that they are successful. And with me helping them occasionally, I know they will be. And I like, I don't know if Larry had this in mind, but one of the great guys, sometimes he's a little on the stupid side, but he's a great wrestler. And I want to introduce Pat O'Connor.
He beat me to the punch.
Pat, say a few words.
Double wrist lock on him.
No, I don't have to wrestle Sam for anything. He's always come through for me in all those years that I've known him. When I came over here from New Zealand, I'm a transplanted Irishman. I was first transplanted into New Zealand, then over to here. And Sam and a very, very good friend here, Wally Carbo from Minneapolis, helped me greatly. And Sam was in my corner over a good number of years. When I became champion here in 1959 in St. Louis, I adopted the city as my town, and it has just been great to me and great for me. And without Sam, I wouldn't have been in the position that I've been today. I've gone from wrestling to the matchmaking part of it. And Sam, you got to stay in my corner. I need you. I need that help. I need those guidelines. I need those things for you to say, hey, you're stepping out of line, just get back into here, and I'll do it. And I know with these words and your energy and your guidance that St. Louis will still remain the capital of the wrestling world.
Thank you. There we go. The best we ever met. Bob, give you a picture on 3. Here are two people. Everything I asked them, every request that we had, any help we needed, they were there just like that. I've got to tell you, there is no other building in the country that could have helped us put on something like we did tonight other than the Checker Dome. And Charlie and Jerry, you should get up here and take a few bows. Charlie Mancuso, the manager, and Jerry Couch, his assistant. Come on up here.
There is no other promoter in the country that could have put together a card that he did like tonight other than Sam Muchnick. We had originally planned to have a little special presentation for our friend Joe Garagiola. My uncle is groundskeeper of the Omaha Rosenblatt Stadium, where the College World Series has been for 26 years. And this past College World Series, he presented him with a feast in the third base dugout of some salsiccia. And we had hoped to bring some Italian salsiccia down from Omaha to present to Joe tonight, but we didn't happen to have a chance to work it out. But that's a sidelight.
Harry?
The only thing I can say is that we have been here, this is the beginning of our 5th year since the Checker Dome has been in existence, changed name, and never have we dealt with anyone that was more competent, more professional, knew anything more about what they're doing than Sam Muchnick. It's been such an honor, such a pleasure working with him. We've learned more from Sam probably than we both did combined in our 8 years of college. And tonight is Sam Muchnick night. That's what the sign says, and I think that's all we can say is God bless you, Sam, and we wish the best to you.
Thank you very much.
We also forgot one thing to say in the ring. You know, Mel Price is here. And we said he had a little dedication coming here special just from Washington. He's got another big trip to make Monday. But he also came here on his birthday because today is Mel Price's birthday. So, Mr. Price, I know you're out in the room somewhere. We certainly wish you happy birthday on January the 1st. You're now older than Sam Muchnick. Okay, there's one other organization that Sam belongs to, and I think he mentioned it earlier, the 1, 2, 3 Club. It is a collection of the finest, most dignified, most serious people you will ever meet. And certainly the most serious and the most dignified man is now the president. He retired from Hamiltonian Federal to be president of the 1, 2, 3 Club. And he has a special presentation for Sam Muchnick. Bob Victor. Bob?
Before I start this, Sam, I want to tell you we all love you. But all these accolades you received tonight were for our purpose. The 1, 2, 3 Club has no purpose, no reason, and we are just jealous of the fact that they all gave you something, so we wanted to give you something too. And this is a little plaque. It says to Sam Muchnick, who is the founder, the parliamentarian, the sports writer turned literary ghost, the secretary, the treasurer, the dictator, and the greatest humanitarian in the world. Thanks for making life more purposeful, also for turning a disorganized luncheon club into one of comradeship, conversation, celebrities, unusual characters, and lousy food. The 1, 2, 3 Club wouldn't be the same without you, and don't dare try to retire from us.
Only 2 more to bring to the microphone. I think it'll work out. We need to get Joe Garagiola up here, and Joe will make a rather special introduction of another gentleman who tonight served as a special referee, so he didn't get to yell at anybody too much, and that's unusual for this man. So if Joe Garagiola would come to the microphone and handle a special introduction for us, and he may say a thing or two about Sam, I think. Anything nice to say? Joe Garagiola, who came in special from Florida by way of Dallas to get here, and he's on his way to Arizona tomorrow.
Well, I don't have any ad-libs prepared, so and I know you want to sit down and visit with everybody, and I'm just happy to be here. Sam, what can I say? I don't want to get maudlin about it. I remember at the Chase when we had the thing. Rip Hawk was my hero, and he would chase us around. I'll never forget the first night that he had a wrestler throw one at me, and we had a lot of fun doing that, and it was a real thrill to be a part of this. I'm genuinely happy that I'm here because you're such a good guy.
Well, Joe, thank you very much, but I want to reveal something. One time, Gene Kaniski, I don't know if Gene's here.
Yeah, he's combing his hair with a tire iron.
Well, Gene Kaniski was wrestling, and I'd always warn the wrestlers, don't go out of the ring and don't go after announcers. And Kaniski jumped out of the ring and ran Garagiola, who was telecasting the wrestling at the Chase, ran him down the aisle. And I was so damn mad, I got a hold of Kaniski and I said, what the hell's the matter with you? You're supposed to be dignified. You're not supposed to run after announcers, especially Joe Garagiola. He's a good friend of mine. And he bowed his head and apologized. 2 hours later, I went to the Redbird Lanes in South St. Louis, and they're both bowling.
Yeah. Kaniski's over there. Why don't he come up? Because I would... the reason I'd like to introduce him is, if a Brillo pad could talk, here's what it would sound like. Now, you football fans, I'm sure you're all footballed out, but if you ever wanted a blueprint for a blocked kick...
Take it easy.
This room's not big enough for both of us.
Joe, first of all...
Isn't that a beautiful voice, huh?
Joe, first of all, sarcasm is a very low form of wit.
I know, but you only came half equipped, so how did you know?
I'd like to ask one question.
Would you get your arm off me?
Well, stop giggling. First of all, I'd like to say this. Does anybody know what is black and blue and doesn't breathe?
Yes.
The first one that tells a Polish joke.
Oh.
Joe.
You guys get a pope and you go bonkers, don't you, huh? Sam had the original franchise. He didn't live up to it. And we had Italian popes for years. You guys get one guy in there and you're going to run the world, right?
Joe, the Pope, His Holiness is Catholic. Will you move on?
I'm falling in love with you.
I'd like to say something.
How come I can see through you?
Superstar. Joe, earlier this evening, was having his picture taken with a lot of the guests, and he was charging him $5 a copy. That shows he's really a class guy. I don't want to say something tonight.
You're stepping
We're here.
on my foot.
I know.
Would you get off if I gave you a Hershey bar?
Joe, I'd kiss you, but you'd probably giggle. Joe, move on. We got to say something. I have to get a little sentimental tonight. I sort of feel rather bad. I have 2 sons. One has turned professional. He graduated from college. Another is still in college in Canada. And, of course, every great man in this world has always had somebody behind him. Tonight, there's a young lady who's not with us in person, but I know she's here in spirit. That's Helen Muchnick. And I miss her, and I think of her and all of Sam's friends. I realize how much an asset she has been to Sam and how much she has done for the world of professional wrestling. I only wish this lady could be with us in person. And Sam, I know you've been a super promoter, And I just want to say this, may the best things that ever happened to me in this life be the worst things that happened to you and your family. Thank you very much, folks.
My pleasure, Sam. I'm glad I was here, and that's all I can say.
Well, I can't with the words.
Well, there's only one guy we can leave talk anymore. And if you want to get even with Kaniski, or him, or anybody else, now's your chance. Because this is your moment at the mic, Sam. It's yours.
First place, I'd like to tell everybody here, this was indeed a real surprise to me. I knew there was something in the works because Larry kept on leaving at 1 o'clock and say, I've got something to do, and all that. And Larry did a masterful job. And as to my successor, the matchmaker, Pat O'Connor, Larry will be the general manager. He's been with me 11 years. He's been loyal, capable, and understanding. And I know the St. Louis Wrestling Club will thrive. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you being here. Like I said, it was indeed a surprise. I knew something was in the wind because Larry said, we want you to say a few words. But all of my dear friends are here. And I don't think we missed anybody that I can think of. And thanks from the bottom of my heart.
Volume 11 of Classic St. Louis Wrestling will end the series. Plenty of great action, topped by a tag team battle sending the odd couple of Dory Funk Jr. and Ken Patera against Crusher Blackwell and Ric Flair. And what you've just seen, well, it's gone forever, but never forgotten. What Sam Muchnick and wrestling did in St. Louis will always have a magic status. What we had, well, we're glad we had it. Thank you so much, Sam Muchnick. This is Larry Matysek saying so long.